As you can see, I've got it tore down to the floor, and I want to kind of show you everything that came out that I can reuse. We got rid of most of the trailer. I'm going to work on the floor here in a little bit, but I want to show you the things that I think I can either use or I can use as a template. As you see, the walls, the ceiling, no use at all. I could not even make a template out of them. They just crumbled as they came down. So what I'm going to do is let you take a look at the parts I can either reuse, fix up, or make a template out of. If I was going to keep this, I would keep this because this is in good shape. And you can tell it's original. It's got all the original hardware. It's got these little long ovals on them. It's in pretty solid shape. I'd redo the top on it, but it's got all the trim. But there's probably going to be a refrigerator going in right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up to here, bump it out, come up to the ceiling, and right up here where I bumped it out is going to be the refrigerator. So I'm going to keep this for future reference just because it's so cool. Okay, here's our upper cabinets. The drawers, this little sliding thing I'm not real keen on just because very flimsy. I don't like the way this bottom comes down like this, but that's kind of like I used for a little spice rack and an area for a light, but I think we could do a lot better. But we're going to keep this. This is where it went. And we're going to keep this just for a template because what I do like is I like this shape. That's very normal for a Scotty. So we're going to keep that. There's some trim we might clean up. This light is no good. I'm going to have to trash it. I'll keep this hardware. But otherwise, once I make a template off it, going in the trash. This is something that you see in almost every Scotty, or at least every Scotty that I've had my hands on. It's got this teal on it. It has a little bump out here so you can still have extra room for your bed, but you have counter space. Of course, this is where the stove went, 2-burner stove. Now, I like this opening. There's probably going to be an air conditioner go in there. And these are pretty good right here. I'm going to have to make them a little more solid, a little thicker right there. And because I want to keep the drawers. I think some people need drawers when you're going down the road. But the big thing is, can I clean this up? Will this shine up? Maybe. Maybe. I think it will, but it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of elbow grease. So we're saving this, and we're just going to make it a little more sturdy. This 2-burner stove, I'm on the fence about it. It's in really good shape. I'll just maybe sandblast these pieces right here because they're still in great shape. I mean, there's a little surface rust on them, and you can put some good black paint on them. You look at the knobs. These knobs are in great shape. Even still have the white line on them. You look at the lid here. I think that this is going to shine up real nice, and that is so vintage. That is super 60s, even into the 70s with the avocado. That would be its brother. That's pretty cool, and that shine that up a little bit. That'll come right on. That's just surface rust. In here, we got a little bit of rust, but if you look at the workings are fine. I would just take a wire brush and a little steel wool to them. These will be shiny, super shiny. So I don't know. I'm going to keep this even if I don't go back. Even if I don't go back with the stove, I'm going to keep it for maybe a future project, or I'll know somebody that maybe needs a stove. So we're keeping this. This is the dinette, one side. The important part is right here, and then I can work everything else off of that. Here's the front part. This is going to be really good. I can't reuse it. You can see here, but this is going to be a great template, and I could probably reuse some of this aluminum if it shines up real good. Plus, I've got these pieces that'll tell me exactly how long they need to be, although I have taken that measurement. I always take measurements. You have got to take measurements of absolutely everything. But great for a template, and the other side will be over here, but just like this. just the mirror opposite. Right here was a shelf that went over the dinette. So it's going to sit, well, more like this. And the doors, although the doors were not, they're that brown fake wood, I don't want that. But I could definitely paint over them if we're going to go with paint on this piece. And I think I'm going to sand this down because it's exactly the right size. And I think we're going to reuse it. This is the last part of the gas light. I'm not going to use gas. I'm going to make it LED. But I'm going to take these pieces off and then just kind of mount them in there to make it look like it's still gas, so it's vintage. And it gives it a super cool look. So I'm excited about to use this. So I'm going to sand this down, going to check it out. If not, I've got a great template. Okay, as you can see, we're down to the floor. Now, there's a couple things that I want to take off of here. I'm going to take the gas tank off, propane tank off, so that I can clean that up real nice. And then whether or not we use that with the stove is still to be determined. So either it'll come back or it'll go the way of the stove. We got to take these hubs off. We're going to be doing that in the next episode because these are in great shape, super great shape. I'm real pleased about those. Now, as I've been walking on this, it seems very sturdy. I looked underneath and it's normal wear and tear, but really nothing is bowing when I walk on it, and I feel real good about that. But I don't want to put my name on it. For the amount of money that it's going to take for me to pull this up and put brand new 3/4 inch ply down, screw it down in good, replace the wood underneath, because this isn't just a metal frame. We're going to find out next time what all is under there. But get everything screwed down with new screws, no nails, and get that put on there. For that amount of money, it's going to be peace of mind of $1 million. You'll feel good knowing that nobody's ever going to do anything. You get into a crazy crosswind or whatever, it's not going to do anything to the trailer because the foundation is solid. We got to get that floor up. I'm just not comfortable, as you saw, with how it is, and probably could leave it. Not going to, because there's still nails in it, in 1964 nails. So we're going to pull all of that off, and once we get all of it off and got that taken to the dump, we're going to go take a look at the axles, the bearings. We're going to search all the welds, make sure all the welds are solid. Make sure that the bearings are going smooth, and that all of the spindles are smooth on those scratches, and that there's plenty of grease in there. So those are the things that we really want to look at once we pull off all of the floor and the drop-down floor. And while I'm at that, I might as well just, as I have been doing, make up a list of what I'm going to need to replace the floor. I took a lot of measurements. I'm telling you, your tape measure is going to be your best friend. So I took measurements on prone measurement, and I even set these off to the side. I can always take that part to the dump at any time, but I want to make sure, just in case I didn't miss anything. Some of the things that I'm going to need is going to be some 3/4 plywood. Back then they only used 1/2 inch, but I feel real good with 3/4, just holding that in sturdy. I'm going to get some 5/16, 3.5 inch carriage bolts and some nuts, and that's what's going to hold the whole structure down. But then right next to those bolts and next to the 2x2 framing is the 2x2 square tube. There's going to be some 2x2 wood that's going to cross brace between those, and I want to screw into those too. I don't want to nail anything, and that's going to make it so strong. Problem is, they don't make a 2x2 anymore. 1964, you want to buy a 2x2? 2 inches by 2 inches. Now you go to buy a 2x2, it's 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. That's going to throw everything off. So I'm going to get 2x4s. I'm going to rip them down to be 2 inches tall, because that's where it really is, because it has to match up with the steel tubing. And so as long as it's 2 inches tall, we're going to be just fine on that. And that's going to really sturdy it up between those 5/16, 3.5 inch bolts and some probably 2 inch screws, exterior screws that are going to go through that 3/4 inch plywood. Really tie everything together real nice. We're going to get it going down into the drop down. But all of that's for naught if our bearings aren't good. Generally, this thing doesn't look like it has a lot of miles on it. It's just been sitting out for a long time. So I'm fairly confident that this is going to have a really nice axle, really good spindles, and really good bearings, and that's where we really need to be on this deal. And if that happens, and the welds are all good, we're going to put that floor down later on.